So there's a process of solvent manufacture using solvent adhesives, which is pretty much today the only thing that they can use when you're doing long-term outdoor of any kind.
Long-term outdoor, anything that gets wet applied. People like to wet apply. They spray the adhesive, right? And then they put it up on the window and they move it around. Squeegee it away. The solvent adhesives will survive that. They're super clear. And the UV adhesives will survive that. They're super clear. Emulsion adhesives will fog or they'll haze.
Okay.
And so what do you do about that? Well, usually we get a complaint.
Yeah.
So these adhesives basically have solvent properties without the solvent problems. It's all acrylate based, so it's perfect UV stability. It's, you know, even to say they're solvent adhesives. They're born as solvent adhesives, but our supplier basically extracts the solvent from it, and we get a drum that's 100% solids with no solvent in it. So we get twice as much adhesive in that drum. I mean, just little things like that, right? I mean, which means you have less drum changes and all that.
Yeah.
So there's a ton of advantages.
The problem I have with a heavy solvent, especially for low energy, is I'd be printing on my printer and it's just oozing out the edges as I'm printing. It's leaving a mess.
Right.
So I'm basically just solving my problem by throwing goop on it.
I mean, you've got an acrylic adhesive that instantly cures in basically 5 or 6 feet, right? And you don't have these long ovens that are drying your adhesive out. They're also drying out your liner. Right? So when you pull moisture out of your liner, what happens?
I don't know.
It curls.
It does curl.
It does, right? So we don't have to worry about that anymore. We can use the most moisture unstable liners and run them through our machine, and they're completely flat.
Wow, so now your liners can be, you don't have to custom make a more expensive liner because the liner is just disposable in the end anyway.
That's exactly it.
And you can use paper liners, which are less expensive.
You can use paper liners,
and
we don't dry them
out.
We don't. And with those long ovens that are drying out this solvent adhesive, what happens is in a web tear is that the basically liner goes up and hits the oven, and all that adhesive gets all over the oven.
Now
right?
The oven is a goopy mess. Do you have to actually clean it, or do they just keep running?
No, they clean it as good as they can, and then you get this thing called oven dirt.
That's the ash part.
The ash part. So then that starts falling out on your window film product. I don't have that problem at all.
None.
Zero.
Ovens?
I have no oven.
You don't have an oven?
No.
So the whole process is completely revolutionized.
Correct.
So what you're telling me is there's all kinds of issues that affect the liner, that also affect any errors that go on the process. It's an odd thing because I didn't get it at first either. I'm like, NextBond changes the whole industry.
It does.
Everything in this room.
It does and it should.
A huge number of things in this room. Overwhelming. The largest thing. When I was working at HP, I said, what do we print on most? And they said adhesive vinyl.
Right.
Or film.
Right.
You peel and stick adhesive film of some kind is what we print on most. That's what everyone does.
Right.
Everywhere you go.
That's right.
And that's 3 components: a liner, an adhesive, and then the film.
Right.
In your case, you said item number 2, like the middle of the Oreo.
And we worked a long time figuring out what adhesive works with what film that needs to be cured at what level, because you apply energy now, right, to this thing. So how many millijoules per centimeter does this adhesive need to get cured? Well, then you have to do the calculation. I have 3 lamps, I'm going this fast, da-da-da-da-da. I know now I'm putting in 50 millijoules. That's curing the adhesive. Perfect. Because the vendor will help you with that, but you have to define your process. So once you get that cured product, now you got to go test it. So what do we test against? Solvent-based products, right? So we're trying to see if we can meet or exceed the physical properties of the solvent adhesives. We've done it.
You did it.
We've done it. We're selling it. It's successful. People are making the transition.
Right. And now what you're figuring out is how many things can we put it on? I'm also blown away by this. First I read about it and I thought, oh, well, this is just a permanent adhesive. It's super strong, and so it's really good for low energy, because you can run. I saw the spec on this. You guys can install this at minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit.
Right. That's
so
our
like
high
in the middle
bond
of
opaque
Montana
product.
in the freezing winter, you can stick this where everything else would not stick.
Right. Basically, we took the product to consultants and we had them test it, and they basically identified the temperature where they still got good adhesion, and they identified that as minus 10. We're coating 2 mils of adhesive. Now think about this. If you coat 2 mils of a solvent adhesive you have to coat 4 mils because the adhesives are 50% solids, 50% solvent, and you've got to dry that 4 mils of adhesive down to 2 mils.
That's a big oven.
It's a big long oven, and that means you have to slow down. So on our machine, we just take the lamps and we calculate the energy level we need to cure 50 GSM. We plug that in and we go. So we're doing high coat weight at high speed.
All right. So what you've really done is much like UV ink technology and all of its permutations. You got Canon over there with UV gel.
Yep.
Everyone else is using some form of LED UV. That really took solvent ink technology to task. And there's not much solvent ink except in the smaller printers, but the vision of the industry is moving towards various permutations of UV. You went and did the same thing with UV adhesive.
Right. I mean, and then some fundamental things are we don't have the long oven, so our footprint is much shorter.
I would assume your cost is affected by this.
Our costs came down.
I know, it'd be a lot less.
Our energy costs.
You don't have this, think of this 2 millimeter film with this enormous amount of adhesive running through a very slow, with possibilities of errors and imperfections. It's got to be expensive.
It's expensive to run, and they got to get rid of the VOCs, so that has to go to an incinerator.
I can't imagine working in that giant oven process is all that pleasurable.
Nah, they wear masks.
Okay.
I mean, I mean, you have to now.
Of course.
Right. You have to have explosion-proof motors. I mean, all this stuff that you have to engineer
because solvent is
handle the VOCs.
Yeah. One of the things I wondered is, okay, your long-term outdoor adhesive is excellent. You're competing directly against heavy adhesive layer solvent successfully. I'm like, well, what about repositionable? I mean, there's a lot of materials where I don't want it necessarily to be long-term outdoor. I want to be able to put it on something and then move it and remove it. I don't want it stuck there forever, and that's a lot of the market.
Right.
Does it work well repositionably?
So the short answer is yes.
Okay.
The long answer is you can get there a couple ways. One way is you have to buy a different adhesive from your supplier that's got something that basically has a lower peel value.
Got it.
The beauty of these UV acrylic adhesives is that you can actually alter the physical performance based upon the amount of energy you put into the adhesive. By that I mean, if I cure it at a really high cure level, it's going to be ultimately cured and it's going to have a lower tack. If I want to get more tack out of the same adhesive, I can lower that millijoule level and get higher peel out of it. So ultimately, I can alter the physical performance of one adhesive just with cure level and dosage.
The whole world of this ovens and imperfections and all the things that everyone's accepted as a process for outdoor is just seemingly in my mind goes delete.
Right.
It's done. Right. It's still going to be around, but its days are numbered.
Right. And the investments are less. And of course, we don't have to have solvent abatement equipment, which can cost up to $1 million.
Yeah.
So that's just equipment that your VOCs
I have to imagine the whole process of ensuring all of that is a whole nother matter.
Right.
Of what if something goes wrong in these with anytime you're working with solvent like that.
Right, exactly. Environmentally, the Wisconsin DNR gave us an exempt permit because we're exempt.
Yeah.
We have little to no VOCs that come off of our machine.
That's marvelous.
It's
you just changed the game.
It changes the game.
And you've already started taking the game and applying it to your films.
We have.
Because I started looking at the films and go, oh, well, what's so great about that? It's a long-term, outdoor, durable, 10-year. I mean, there's lots of products like that.
Right.
But that's when I realized, looking in your notes, I went, wait a minute, they changed the whole adhesive game.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's less money, it's less fuss, there's less imperfections, there's less problem, it's easier to do.
Yep.
You've always been a water-based adhesive company in Nekoosa.
And that's originally why we invested
and out of
in
mother
this.
of necessity, you went, is there another way to do this and not going into the solvent game?
Exactly. And we were missing out a big part of the market because most of our competitors had solvent coating. And Nekoosa didn't want to invest in a solvent coater.
Yeah, you would just be another guy with a solvent coater.
So we basically talked about this UV technology and talked about a supplier that basically specializes in this, and we knew that this was going to work.
Other advantages, I was looking at this outdoor bond, you don't need anymore to have the gray mixed in with the pigment to create your opacity.
So adding pigment to your adhesive never improves the adhesive.
It diminishes the adhesive.
It all provides opacity.
Yeah, now you have to put in more adhesive.
We focused then on, well, how do we get the opacity? So we worked with our supplier and said, here's what we want. And their first attempt wasn't good, and the second attempt was, but we got to a film that basically has 99.5% opacity now, and we can apply our acrylic adhesive to it that's clear. And we can apply it at 50 GSM, which is 2 mils, and basically get high tack, high peel.
And the solvent's using 4 mil.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just gooping it up.
And
mixing. Well, the reason they have to goop it up is they're mixing the pigment with it.
That's right. And that never helps the adhesive.
No.
So when you try to remove it, you'll get some of the gray stain back, which is ugly, and someone has to clean that up. Right. So we wanted a pure adhesive on a pure film.
And you got it.
And we did, yeah.
Right. And then I'm reading also, you put it on these laminate films.
Yep.
Right. So you got clear laminate films.
We do.
Now have excellent adhesion.
Yep.
But with no, and this was the key when it clicked also for clear, you guys don't discolor over time.
No.
Because that's one of the things where people will complain to me. They'll say, "Hey, this clear film is yellowing." Right. I'm like, "No, it's not your film that's yellowing. It's the adhesive that's yellowing."
That's right. And this is a pure acrylic adhesive with no yellowing. It's basically 10-year outdoor, durable. It's acrylic, of course.
Yeah, Dynamite.
The beautiful thing we did too was customers constantly want to have a non-silvering product.
Yeah, I read that too.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah, no, I always want a non-silvering.
Right.
And I have all these people playing around with heat on their laminators to get rid of silvering. I'm like, no, that's not what's going on here. Explain what silvering is caused by.
Well, so silvering basically is the areas of the overlaminate that don't get pressed down or aren't soft enough to get in those areas. So with our ability to change dosage, we could formulate an overlaminate adhesive that has really high softness and gets into those crevices and non-silvering. And all the customers I showed it to, they're like, Bryan, I love this. Yeah. I didn't get any silvering with your product. Right. It's because we formulated the adhesive to be that way.
When I was working in a number of different companies, especially focused on UV ink technologies, one of the problems is always that you can't find very many highly complementary film laminates for UV ink, because usually in almost all cases you're using a solvent adhesive laminate with a UV ink technology.
Right.
And they're not quite complementary. It's different technologies.
And also UV inks tend to be very thick, and they tend to have these sort of hills and valleys.
And I call that terracing.
Right, and that's where silvering comes from.
That's right.
And so,
and somebody said, well, how do we get rid of it? And I said, well, it's going to be difficult because you have an ink technology that has this terracing kind of effect, and the silvering is a reflection of that, and that's going to be hard to pull out entirely. And so you have all these laminate manufacturers trying to make a highly compatible solvent-based laminate film to put on top of a UV print, and they were always not quite right. Like, you could get close. This might actually break the door open.
The solvent adhesives, you don't have the opportunity to change their physical performance. You dry them out, you get the cross-linking, and you're done. With the UV adhesives, I can apply a little less dosage to it, right? And make it a little softer, so it performs as a non-silvering product.
I have to imagine then your process of innovation, of coming up to a response for something that's not working, has to be a lot faster, because you don't have this elaborate drying system, and then all that goes into your R&D with these long dryers and your adhesives is like, once you really, which you do because you guys spend a lot of time with it, once you understand how to control things in a UV process, you can just respond a lot quicker to build the perfect little dialed-in product to respond to an issue.
That's what we do. So in our trials, you wouldn't believe how short they are. We can do 300.
That's what I was getting at.
We do 300-foot trials, and we run 300 feet at one process condition, and then we change one component, and then we do 300 feet, and we change another. We're flagging every one of them, and we pull out and we evaluate each one, and the one that whatever fixes the silvering problem, or basically had better adhesion to the liner, or whatever you're looking for, we can get that in one short trial. Because the machine's so short, we don't lose a bunch of material driving it all the way down the road. It's just coming there to there,
Yeah.
So
you shorten your whole R&D time completely.
It's a lot faster. Trial time is pretty quick. So yeah.
And this is all being done right in Wisconsin.
Yep, Wisconsin Rapids. Yep. There's a lot of solvent coaters out there, and solvent's not going to go away.
No.
But all of our suppliers are investing in UV because they see it. Right.
I would be. Bryan, thank you for this fantastic, truly a deep dive.
Of course.
Into the validity of this. Truly, I'm going to say it again because I don't say it often. This is a game changer. I mean,
thank you.
This is a real breakthrough. It makes life better for everyone in the industry. Right. It is a better product. It works better. It's less expensive. It is certainly healthier, both for the operator as far as every other element of it. I just can't I can't see any advantages to continuing down the solvent path at this point.
Yep.
I think UV has made its decisive case, and I think you just made it, and I'm delighted to hear it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Okay, you heard it here first. UV adhesives at Nekoosa. That's going to be the future of digital printing. I'll put my name on it.